Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So last week, exactly 7 days ago, I brought up Soulburning Volcano and some older strategies that come out in that set that really push some archetypes, some more than not. And this week we're going to talk about Salamangreat. So for those who are unfamiliar, Salamangreat is pretty much a fire-themed Cyberse toolbox deck that pretty much is dedicated upon relinking your link monsters to get extra beneficial effects from them, as well as either getting more card advantage or just pick apart your opponent's board easier than not. So historically, Salamangreat has never been a bad deck. During 2018, 2019, this deck was very popular because it was pretty much like the better link deck of the format. And it was the first Cyberse archetype that actually got pushed well because of like very generic Cyberse support. So over time, what ended up happening was in early 2020, Mirage Stalio was banned because Konami felt like they needed to address Salamangreat in some degree, but it was going to be weird if they hit just the main deck. So they pretty much just went after the side deck. In the main deck, right now we only have Salamangreat Gazelle Limited. Which is kind of understandable. Back then, it was pretty much like the best one card starter in the archetype. Is one of the cards that make your opening plays just a lot stronger. And if you're familiar with how Cyberse deck works, if you have a one card that starts your plays and it's a Cyberse monster, then it's just going to leave a room for trouble because if you look at MathMech Circular and see what happened with MathMech last format, you will pretty much understand that Cyberse decks are pretty powerful if they are left unchecked. So what ended up happening with Soulburning Volcano is that Konami printed a few new Salamangreat cards. They pretty much made like a new synchro. They made a plethora of a couple spell cards. They made a few monsters. But the more important cards that we gotten from that set was Raging Phoenix and Salamangreat of Fire. For those who don't know, Salamangreat of Fire is pretty much Lady Debug or like Stratos for the archetype, but it locks you into fire monsters. I really like the design behind this card because it kind of tells you that Konami wants Salamangreat to be very playable, but they don't want for it to be super abused as a Cyberse strategy. So like they already know that with MathMech Circular, not giving it a heavy restriction like other MathMech monsters made that deck really powerful because it gave the deck an ease to just link climb and combo off and like demolish your opponent with just like very powerful Cyberse monsters like Transcode and Heat Soul and like Access Code. There's also like the firewall monsters like the Terahertz, just to name a few examples. So like 10 out of 10 in card design, they pretty much nailed it when it came to this. The other card to note is Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. When this card first got printed, I was very skeptical on this card. For those who don't know, Raging Phoenix, upon summon, can add any Salamangreat card. If it's relinked summon, using it itself as a material. Also, if a fire monster leaves the board and this is in your graveyard, you can reborn this card. So really strong. So it being a link 4 kind of made a lot of people question whether or not this was consistent and coherent as a strategy, because you have to relink this away, and usually before the summon of this card, before this card got printed, the usual strategy was relinking Sunlight Wolf and just playing Sunlight Wolf control with your spell and trap cards and your hand traps. So with the existence of Raging Phoenix, now you are going to relink this instead of Sunlight Wolf. However, getting to just Raging Phoenix is very easy in this deck if you resolve all your Salamangreat cards, because they do have a 1-card combo that can get to this. And not only do they have a 1-card combo, they have a consistent 1-card combo. And they can do this like very periodically. So now that we answered that question, now the following question is, does Gazelle need to stay limited in order for this deck to keep thriving? Or does this card being unlimited can push this strategy over the top and like make it like the better Cyberse deck of the format? Since Mathmech pretty much had that spot and then it got nerfed, and other cyber strategies like Marimses and Code Talkers, just to name a few examples, are not as popular. So this deck already like won a regional like last week, and it was with just one Gazelle. So that pretty much tells you that this strategy and this support was good support for this archetype. I don't think it was a fluke. I think like starting the regional season, seeing a win from Salamangreat is just like an example of how good a pilot of this deck can be with new cards and new support if they know what they're doing. Also, if they resolve Gazelle a couple of times, I guess. If you look at the deck profile, they pretty much make a joke around that. But yeah, I think some of these new cards for Salamangreat are fantastic. I think that this deck, it already has a home in the format. I don't think it's going to be a top contending deck or strategy anytime soon. However, after a ban list, if they decide to unlimit this card, this deck might be able to shine again, and we might see a repeat of what happened in 2019. It's very soon to tell, but so far I say Soulburning Volcano gave us at least one W with this archetype. Stay tuned for probably next week. I'll probably talk about Infernoble Knights, or the battling boxes support in general, and how did that shape up. Because prior to the set's release, a lot of people had their eyes on that support more than they did for Volcanics or Salamangreat. Volcanics didn't start super great, but Salamangreat definitely already has proven that it can be playable in this format. But yeah, I hope you found this informative or to your liking. That's it from me. Keep practicing and keep dueling.